I'm gonna get back to this, get back in the groove of things, and I've got something for a video idea that I think is kind of cool. In this box, I've got 32 pounds of coffee that I'm really excited about, some stuff I need to restock on, a couple of things I really want to try. One of those things is a washed version of the honey processed Mexico that I typically get. And I also have some of that honey processed Mexico that has been out of stock basically all summer. So I want to try and get 2 identical roast profiles for each of those to demonstrate, I guess, the difference in how the processing of coffee can affect the taste. Now, I'm going to go over the difference between honey process and wash process in a minute, but give me a bit so I can unwrap all these coffees, get them sorted out into my bins over there, and get my roaster in the window over there. Excuse me. I think what's fun about this is that we have 2 products from the same farm that could potentially produce something of a different resulting flavor in the coffee. I think it would be important to start from the beginning and to tell you what a washed process is, what a honey process is, what it means to process coffee cherries, because without that kind of foundational understanding, this doesn't mean a whole lot. Honey process is when you depulp the cherries like we do with the wash process, but from that point on, it's a little bit different. So instead of all that mucilage getting cleaned off and washed off, it's actually left on there as part of the drying phase, so that some of those juices are actually able to be absorbed by the seed, which influences the flavor profile of the coffee. Now, I've had a couple of honey processes. I've had this Mexico honey process for a while now, and I keep it around for a reason. The intention behind the farms is that the resulting coffee is a little more sweet, and that's what I get. But in this coffee particularly, and I can see why, because a lot of Mexicos, like the Chiapas I've had, they've got this nice earthy spice to them. This coffee as a honey process absorbs enough of that sweetness to make a really nice dual tone profile where it's got this honey sweetness right away, honey chocolate, and then it goes into the spice at the end. So there's always this kind of duality going on in the cup. That also applies to some other honey processes I've had from other areas like the Dominican Republic and Honduras. They've got this duality going on of something sweet, something different, earthy, spicy, nutty, something like that. So this kind of complexity is something I really appreciate. That's intention from the farm, and that's something I really like to see more of. So when I saw that my supplier, Coffee Bean Corral, had this La Lajas washed process, I thought to myself, well, wouldn't it be fun to compare directly with the same lot? These come from the same trees, but they're just processed slightly differently. What the taste difference is. Can I taste the intention behind the farm? And you have to keep this in mind. The honey process can take 2 to 4 weeks as opposed to the wash processes 1 to 2 weeks. So the extended process allows that mucilage to absorb into that seed and deliver on that flavor profile a little differently than the wash profile. Out of respect for the farm, out of respect for just what these farmers are doing and the research that goes in and the time and dedication, I want to know that I chose honey process for a reason. My goal here is to see what the difference is in taste fundamentally. It doesn't match up to what I know the farms do to produce a sweeter coffee, which is honey process versus wash. Does my understanding match up to the resulting taste? On my way to achieving that, I'm going to roast both of these coffees. I'm going to try my best to get as closely matching of a roast profile as possible, so that when I go to brew them identically, I can control as much as possible and try to taste what the difference is between a wash process coffee and a honey process coffee from the same exact lot, same harvest. It's brand new, it's fresh as can be. So instead of rambling on even further, I'm gonna get this roaster preheated. Alright, everything's preheated. We're gonna get the beans in right now, and I'll kind of speed through this so we can get right to the results here. Pretty solid. Yeah, that was a 15.4% weight loss on this coffee, which is really nice for a medium. So I'm happy with that. We're gonna section these off into our 3 bags that we can get out of this, and then we should have about 50 grams left over for us to try. So we'll do that. And then we'll get the other one going too. All right, give me about another 10 minutes or so. We'll speed through this and get right over to brewing, tasting, and talking about what these differences really mean.
Roasting finished. Now cooling.
So we've got our 2 coffees brewed up on the V60, both 198 degrees, 1:16 ratio, same time. The washed coffee is redder in color, a little lighter. This is our washed. This is our honey. The wash still has kind of a sweeter aroma to it. Not too surprising, given it's a little bit lighter of a roast. But the honey process definitely has a more rounded sweetness, whereas this is a little bit more sweet, but you get a little bit of that spiced earthiness that I know Mexicos tend to come up with. But the honey process has this almost berry juiciness in the aroma. Now I'm gonna taste the honey first because I've had it before. I know what to expect here. I've missed this. It's been a few months since I've had it. It's been out of stock. This is brand new harvest. I've waited months for this. It's that classic honey chocolate up front, leads into a nice spice. Not overwhelming. Now for the washed. Yeah, that's about what I expected. Except that it's nowhere near as earthy or spicy as other washed Mexicos I've had. Something to do with the farm. I've had mostly Chiapas. Otherwise, La Laja is the only one with this honey process that I've tried. So when I saw La Laja come up with a wash process, I got excited. So being able to try this and to see that Mexico can come up with something a little bit different, even in the washed, it's nice. Now it does lack in the complexity that I like, but plenty of people don't care for complexity in their coffee. It's got this slight wininess to it that I wasn't expecting. It's well rounded though. It's got a nice hint of chocolate, winey. It reminds me a little bit of the Colombia Don Enrique Reserve that I've had, that I just got more of actually. A nice kind of wininess with a chocolate kind of relationship going on there. Now, let's go back to this. And immediately you get hit with a little bit more of a complex flavor profile. It's that sweetness up front with an aftertaste that kind of shifts back down to chocolatey spice. Being off by about 1% didn't matter too much. I can really taste the difference here. It's very obvious to me. Now, let's bring it all back. Intent with the farm. The farm has this intent to make a certain portion of their harvest sweeter, to serve a different niche, to provide a little diversity in their production. And the result of that is two choices. One, a little bit sweeter, a little bit more complex. The other, more classic, more well-rounded, simpler. And two different types of people can appreciate this, or I can appreciate both of them because I really try and seek out a lot of different coffees. But some of you may just like to find one that you stick with and you like a lot, and you don't really want to stray from that. And that's great. Once you find something you really like, you should really go for it. But it's nice to just see the intent, recognize it, give some appreciation back to the farm, and let you guys know that you have some options. Understand what honey process means and what natural process means. It's not too complex when you think about it. Going back to the farm, and when you understand those processes. Cherries get picked, go through a machine, get pulped, or they don't. They sit in their mucilage to dry and ferment, or they don't, and they get washed, and all of those decisions have an effect on that resulting coffee, and I'm here to show you exactly what that effect is. Hope you like this video. Hit the like button, subscribe for me if you would. I've got a few ideas coming that I think are going to be really helpful, really fun, so stick around, and I'll see you in the next one.